G'day viewers and welcome back to 64 Motorsport. My name's Michael Taylor and in this episode we're going to be having a look at the new wheels that I've chosen for my E46 BMW. Now I've got a bit of a problem, they don't fit. What we're going to do in today's episode is we're going to have a look at my new wheels, and I'm really excited about it because I love them, but I'll be interested to see what your feedback is. And also have a look at how I'm going to overcome this issue, and I've got a couple of ideas in mind and I'll run through that. So if you've got the same problem, you've chosen a set of wheels and they don't clear the brakes, or you've got too much of a gap between the wheel and the guard or something like that, then what I'm going to run through here might be the answer that you're looking for to overcome that problem. So I'll get the camera moved. We'll unbox these new wheels, I'll give you a look at those, and then we'll jump down to the front fender and have a look at the issue I've got and how I'm going to overcome that. So, straight into it. No time for the intro today. Up. Hey, stay. Let's go. Over at the workbench, I've got the front wheel here that I've chosen for my E46. Now the wheels I've gone for Apex race wheels, which I bought from the US, and these are a specific fit for a BMW, so they've got the right size centre hub and all that sort of thing. Now the issue I've got is that when I've sized these, I'd size them based on a 320mm brake rotor, and I ended up buying a 330mm brake rotor, so that extra 10mm is giving me some problems with the clearance. I don't have enough offset for it to clear the caliper, and it's only just rubbing on it, it's only a couple of mil. So let's get this opened, we'll have a look and see what you guys think, eh? Okay, so for those of you who are really interested in the technical specs, these are the Apex Race Parts FL5. Now it's an 18 by 8.5 with a 35mm offset that I've chosen for the front. On the back, it's the same wheel, but it's an 18 by 9. I think it's a 30mm offset for the rear, but anyway, I'll double check that. So what I particularly like about these is that they've got a bit of a lip, which is what I really like. It's a nice 10-spoke design. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Yep, 10-spoke design. And I've got them in the, what they call it, anthracite, let's call it gunmetal. It's in a gunmetal finish. I love them. So leave us your comments in terms of what you think of these. I'd be really interested to hear what you think. Yeah, so that's the wheels. Now, as I say, what the problem is that the offset's wrong. So we need to jump down to the front fender and have a look at that. And I'll run through how I'm going to try and solve this issue with it not clearing the front brake rotors. So, let's go have a look-see. So I'm down here at the front fender, and this is the new big brake kit that I've installed. So it's from StopTech. It's a 4-piston caliper with a 330mm 2-piece drilled rotor. Comes standard with stainless steel brake lines and all the pads and everything like that, so pretty much a bolt-on kit, all the brackets and all the hardware and everything. The issue I've got is when I was originally looking at putting the big brake kit onto the E46, I was originally looking at the StopTech kit, which I think had a 320mm rotor, and it was just a single piece 320mm rotor with 4-piston caliper, but the yellow ones came on special. I was so excited about that, I forgot that I'd already chosen the wheels and that I'd sized the offset for the wheels based on the 320mm rotor. I've basically installed the front rotors and then fitted up the wheel and realised that it's just rubbing on the edge of the caliper. So how am I going to fix that? Well, one of the things is I've already installed the wheel studs. So I'm replacing the wheel bolts with a wheel stud. They're an extended stud, So these will allow me up to a 10mm spacer if I want. So how do I size up the right spacer so that I get just the right amount of clearance without causing me more problems later on with getting the wheel to fit inside the guard? So that's what we're going to look at, and we'll go from there, eh? So down in front of me I've got my odds and sods box, and I've got a heap of metal washers, and these, just double check, and these are roughly about 2mm thick. The wheel is rubbing on the caliper by a couple of mil. So what I'm going to do is get some of these washers and put them onto the wheel stud. So that's what, about 4mm. Now this is a bit agricultural, but it's cheaper than buying a wheel spacer measurement kit. So now that I've done that, I'm going to grab the wheel and we'll slide it on and we'll see what it looks like. So that's roughly 4mm and it's still touching. And 3, which is 6mm, gives me probably about a mil's clearance. I really want 2 to 3mm clearance. So 7.5mm is the right size, and that is how you do it. Now that doesn't resolve the issue that I'm going to have with my guard, and that I won't know until I get the tyre on and I've got the car on the ground as to how I can, whether I'm going to have an issue with that. So my original thought was I was going to go a 245/18 on the front. I'm going to drop that down to a 235, which is fine for this size rim. I've got the coilovers so I can play with the height in terms of the clearance, but I can also, there's a bit of a lip on the inside of the fender here, so I can roll that as well, and that, just feeling it, will give me about another 5mm clearance with the guard without having to do major body work. So I'm going to run a 7.5mm spacer on the front, and I'll run the same on the back. I'll get a proper spacer from ECS Tuning that takes into account the centric hub, because with the BMWs the wheel actually sits on the centric hub, so it's really important that you take all that into account. So I'm going to get rid of this and then we'll go on from there. So that's a bit of a run through on how to resolve that issue where your offset doesn't clear your front brake caliper. Now you can also apply this same principle if you want to fill in the guard a little bit more. So if the offset wheel you've got means that the wheel's sitting inside the guard and you want to get it much closer to the outside edge, you can install the spacer. Now the only thing to remember is get the proper spacer for your BMW. BMWs require that the center hub sits on the centric hub on the wheel hub. Crikey, I don't know if I've explained that well, but basically if you look at the wheel hub on your BMW, you'll see there's a bit of a lip in the center. They use that centric hub to properly locate the wheel in the center of the hub. I don't know if I've explained that really well. Buy a proper spacer either from the likes of ECS Tuning, H&R do a really good range specifically for BMWs. and Turner Motorsport also make their own as well. So there's options out there, and just make sure you choose the right one for your car. I'll do a follow-up video in terms of what I chose, and we'll have a look at how that all fits together once I've got those ordered and things like that. So now that I know the sizing I want, I'm going to jump online and have a look and source something that's going to fit the bill for me. In terms of follow-up work, oh crikey, I'm just about to start filming the install of my Supersprint exhaust system, so keep an eye out for that video, which will come out in the next week and a half, 2 weeks. I'm going to wrap things up because some wanker's just decided to fire up his whippersnipper and it's going to bugger up my sound. But anyway, supercharger's pretty much done. I've got to sort out a heap of vacuum lines for that, and what I've decided to do there is replace all the vacuum lines. So that's going to eliminate any sort of problems down the track in relation to that, because all the vacuum lines are pretty much the original ones and they're well past, and I've spent so much effort getting everything else tidied. For the sake of a few dollars, I might as well sort those out as well. I've got to replace the gasket for the valve cover. When I installed the new camshafts from Schrick, I had a look at the old one, and even though it's only done about 50,000 kilometers, I thought I might as well replace it while I've got it off. So I've got one ordered. I've just got to get that put on. All heaps of bits of trim have got to go on. Yeah, like under the car, inside the car, under the bonnet. The front bumper I've got to get back on, and then once I've done that, then I'm going to finalise the positioning for the air filter, for the pod filter. The radiator I've got to sort out. The old one had a couple of holes in it, and it's, I think, the original one, so because they got the plastic end tanks on it, they've got a limited life. So I'm going to go either a Mishimoto or CSF. So I'd appreciate any feedback that you guys might have in terms of what you would prefer. Both seem pretty good, you know, with an increased capacity and also with the aluminium end tanks. Everything else in the cooling system I've already replaced. It was one of the first things I did when I bought the car, so that's all sorted. Yeah, so there's still a little bit to go, but we're ticking off some big boxes in terms of the major components, and the rest of it is going to be just fill in, which I can sort of do a little bit after hours, after work and things like that. So pretty excited, and we're really getting close to the finish line, which I'm really stoked about. Keep an eye out for my new video on the Supersprint exhaust. That's going to be a humdinger. My only regrets with that is I'm not going to be able to fire up the car, so you can hear what it sounds like, but we'll deal with that in that video, eh? But yeah, until next time, look after yourselves, stay safe, TTFN.